Good morning, wrestling fans. What an exciting start of the day we've had over here in the United Kingdom, because on Good Morning Britain, the programme that brings you Piers Morgan 3 times a week to moan about vegan sausage rolls, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven announced that WWE are opening a United Kingdom Performance Center. Jack the Jobber, how excited are you?
I'm pretty excited for this. Pachiti's gone down.
Yeah, we should say where Adam Pacitti is there live right now as we speak. We will have more updates throughout the day, interviews with certain people and whatnot. It's all exciting. Look at us getting invited to more WWE events.
It's
big
crazy.
Time. Big time.
Just before we get into the meat of it, no pun intended, Piers Morgan nowhere to be seen with 3 burly vegan men on
Shock,
the show.
Horror. If he said one thing, he would have had his face caved in, which is what 99% of the United Kingdom wants to see, but that's a different point.
Yeah.
So we had a live-streamed press conference thing happen with your man off Blue Peter, I forget his name.
Yeah.
The interview fella. Yeah. Triple H appeared with music, entrance music. Charlotte Flair.
Paul Triple H.
Sorry,
Levesque.
yes. That to give him his full title. Charlotte Flair then appeared. Finn Balor then appeared. And then Pete Dunne, rounded things off. And we have put together some concise notes of what we learned from this live stream press conference. Starting off with Triple H, who said it's the next level to the commitment of global localization, his fancy term that he likes to use. And this is the first of many PCs to be opened outside the United Kingdom. Explain what globalization is to the people who might not know.
Global localization.
What did I say?
Globalization.
Oh, bollocks.
A very universal term. Global localization, I think, is Triple H, his way of saying that NXT wanted to be a global brand. He wants to... It's a way of phrasing it without seeming too like they want to take over the world. Yeah. It's just sort of... He wants NXT to be a universal brand, kind of like... Because Triple H is a big fan of the old NWA territory days. He loves all that stuff. And I think he wants to use that as his business model, which is sensible given the network and what it can do for WWE. That can have various different shows in different locations, different brands. So yeah, I think this makes sense that he would say that. I guess we can imagine in future there'll be various ones all around, as he said, and then they'll all feed into the main NXT roster.
You pick the cream of the crop from each of the territories around the world, and they make it to the proper NXT, if that's the fair way to put it.
So it's global wrestling, but it's all under the NXT banner. So that's,
just like down the street, different houses down the street, I guess.
There's pros and cons to it. There's a whole separate debate that can be had whether it's a good or a bad thing.
Do
for
it
the
now?
industry,
Why the hell not?
Well, just that a lot of people, I guess, could say that it takes away from independent wrestling in these certain regions. As we've already seen in the UK, there's a debate going on whether it's taken away from the UK independent scene with all this sort of exclusive signing of top-level UK talents. But at the same time, you could say that it actually improves wrestling generally because NXT, from what we've seen in the USA, is really, really good, and it leads to a good product for everybody. And I guess more wrestling fans out there watch WWE and NXT than they do independent wrestling, so it gets eyes on people who a lot of wrestling fans might never have seen otherwise.
Everything covered in one succinct point there.
Triple H. There's more to it. There's definitely more to it than that, but...
Triple H continued the thing, despite it looking like just a warehouse. We know it's in North London. I don't know if we know exactly where it is because, Pachiti's there right now.
I never saw the thing. I don't
know if I can say, so I won't. North London is where we're going with. In that warehouse, there's a lot of things on offer. We have in-ring training. There's 2 rings there, we know that. Strength and conditioning training with the bald, angry man from the US Performance Center, who I'm terrified of, despite never having met the bloke.
Well, Matt Bloom?
No, he's like the strength and conditioning guy.
Oh, yeah, right.
He had
yeah.
Otis Dozovich lifting like 7,000 pounds the other day. It was terrifying. Interview skills training, access to a nutritionist, wellness training, financial training, language skills training, and that's all on offer inside one building. And that's a hell of a lot.
You know what it reminded me of? We both went to university. On your uni open day when they go, this is all this stuff, this is all this is the accommodation and that. And you think, wow, there's just so much. I'm definitely going to make the most of all of this when I go to uni, and then you don't. It reminded me of that. It was
I probably would if it was under one roof. Like one tiny, well, it's not tiny, is it? One nice-sized building. And this is all on offer to create the most well-rounded, polished WWE superstars and professionals for the future.
Yeah. Well, good.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's a good thing. Everyone was in the background of the shot, by the way, behind the ring. We had all the NXT UK roster by the looks of it, as well as Shawn.
Shawn McLaughlin?
No, I meant Shawn McLaughlin was there.
Oh, right, I know.
I meant Michaels, but...
Same sort of caliber of performer.
Yeah.
Moving on, what Triple H said next, he said the 30 athletes or more will be training the UK PC, I guess full-time-ish. They will consist of the base of the UK brand who will be honing their skills to improve the product.
Yeah, so 30, that's less than the... Because he did quote the figure of the US...
I've got them written down next. We're going to go on some Triple H math soon.
It's a bit smaller, but I think that can probably be expected.
But 30, I couldn't think of... I haven't been watching NXT UK, I've got to be honest, but 30, have they been using 30 people on that show?
I don't think so, but at the same time, if you look at NXT USA, if you look at the main NXT brand, there's people who come in for one match every month or so. You know, the roster's a lot deeper than it seems just because of the time constraints, I suppose.
Yeah.
It also, I guess, leaves the door open for them to recruit more wrestlers as well.
Yeah.
In the future.
And then after All Elite's wonderful press conference the other day where they said they're going to bring in health insurance for the performers, which is something that WWE don't offer. Triple H made a point of mentioning that health and wellness of athletes is the most important thing we do.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even click in my head that was linked to that, yeah.
That's what came to my head, first of all, because I'm a hack. Medical and rehab facilities are on the site to make the athletes as injury-proof as possible. And if an injury does occur, get them back on the field as soon as possible.
Back on the
Because
pitch.
they're not human beings, are they? They're robots. Just wrestle, wrestle. You can't do anything but wrestle. But fair enough. I'm sure the medical facilities on there are world classes like they are in the US Performance Center, so at least they've got them.
It's a step in the right direction, definitely. Yeah.
Get health insurance. You can afford it. Next up, we have Triple H saying the UK PC is a soundstage for 24/7 content creation. It's like the Cultaholic office. You can have the best athletes in the world, but if you can't show them off, what's the point?
I didn't quite understand this. What does he mean from it? Is it like basically a studio space as well?
Yeah, I imagine there'll be interview things, a green screen, entrance way, all that stuff they have in the US one. But there'll be, I imagine, if they're not going to be on the Performance Center's, the US Performance Center's YouTube channel, they'll have their own YouTube channel where they'll have the behind-the-scenes stuff and, you know, like they've been doing with Matt Riddle. And I think I saw Sarah Logan and Raymond Rowe's wedding, their Viking wedding, which was absolutely fantastic.
It was actually really nice,
Shouting, I swear! Instead of I do. I'm all about that.
Just one thing about this point, though. For the rest of it, I'll use all like weight room, medical facilities, all that. I was like, this is brilliant. That's really, really good. But this one, I feel like one of my biggest issues with the WWE product is how sterile it is. So backstage on Raw and SmackDown, you've got these, not offices anymore. It's just like this weird metallic area where the interviews happen. And I think if you've got this soundstage, that's great for getting, you know, names and faces out there. But one of the things I like about indie promotions and that are the slightly rough around the edges promos in corridors or in a car park or just in a different location somewhere. I think you might risk losing a little something if that carries over into the main product. But in terms of like for practice and that sort of thing, that's totally fine.
I think it's useful because one of the main criticisms I've seen of the UK show on the network is the fact we don't know much about the performers.
Right.
There's angry Scottish man in his group. There's angry English man in his group. That's all we know. This should be used to introduce us more to these people.
Yeah.
And get us to know them a bit better because they've been doing that with Nikki Cross, surprisingly to me. Out of character, she appears on this YouTube channel for the Performance Center just, you know, as whatever her real name is.
I was surprised because she's one of the more kayfabe characters.
So hopefully they use it to do that. Triple H, with some maths, 80% of today's main roster came out of the US Performance Center. And speaking about the Performance Center today, there's 80 to 100 performers in there right now.
It's quite a lot.
It is.
That is a bigger building, I suppose. Yeah. But 80% of the main roster today.
I mean, when I first heard that, I was like, you what?
Yeah.
Did you think of like... Is he counting? I guess he must be counting the likes of Samoa Joe, despite the fact he had 15 years before he got there.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. But I guess, you know, that introduces you to the WWE way because they all have their own style of wrestling and how to do a promo and what to say and what not to say and what to do and what not to do. So I guess it's right in one sense.
I think it's quite a good... It's good at least because one of the things is like if you get all these indie stars in, and if there wasn't any NXT and they just went straight onto the main roster, not all of them are going to be AJ Styles. Not all of them are going to be given the chance to shine because there's just not enough room for them. So at least on NXT, even if they don't go on to have the best main roster run ever, NXT usually allows them to have like really good matches, that sort of thing. It helps get them across better. So I don't know how well that'll work in the UK sense, but...
I do wish they would do it more, though, because I miss a shock debut on the main roster.
Yeah.
Everything's built up now.
Yeah, it's true.
And styles, not AJ styles, like performance styles. They're all the same now, essentially. Where are we now? We learned that WWE are going world over and find the greatest athletes and performers in all markets. Recently, they've been to China, Dubai, the Middle East, Germany, Chile, or what did Triple H call it?
He called it Chile, didn't he?
Chile?
Chile. But we just say Chile, yeah.
And soon they're going over to India. So I expect that's where we're going to see the next performance centers open, in the Far East, in Dubai, the Middle East, Germany.
I thought the next one would be Germany.
Yeah, Germany seems the most.
Because of Walter.
Yeah, well, they had that video there where Matt Bloom was putting them all through their paces with Fabian Eichner in the middle of the ring, showing them what to do.
This is interesting because I suppose the thing that leapt out at me, and it's purely just because of where I've been the past week, but there's no Japan on there. And if you look at various hotspots, or Mexico, if you look at various bits of the world where wrestling's the thing, Japan and Mexico are the two, and Canada are like the big ones. So I wonder if that's a deliberate choice not to go over to Japan just because it's already
maybe they just
saturated.
know that New Japan are the top dogs out there and they just don't want to compete and be made a fool of.
Maybe.
I guess they might be over. I don't know how big WWE is. How big is WWE in Japan?
It was hard to tell because when we went to that merch shop, which I think you'll see in due course when the video goes out, it's all like there was so many DVDs and stuff. And yes, a huge chunk of it was WWE, but a lot of it was like Ring of Honor. That everything there, just wrestling seems big. So it's hard to tell really who is bigger over there. I'm sure that if WWE went over as they have done in the past and did a house show in Japan, it would draw. But I don't know. It's quite a strange one.
I do hope that they have each like an individual style for each of these performance centers and don't just have Matt Bloom just training everybody all the same, because that's, as I said before, it's one of the big things I miss. It's just the difference in styles when you see in the ring.
Yeah. I agree.
Next up, Charlotte came into the ring, helped up apparently by Joseph Connors. That popped Pacitti. She talked about how she was homegrown from NXT in the United States, how she had no prior wrestling experience before going to the Performance Center, and how she was part of the first class 5.5 years ago. 5.5 years ago.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like 5.5 years since seeing that Performance Center open, but
no.
She's obviously one of the big success stories from the US Performance Center. She's just the best, isn't she?
Yeah, she's really,
It was
really
nice
good.
to see her flown out there to make this feel a bit bigger than it probably would have.
I liked how she said as well that she was crap on the mic essentially before she went to the Performance Center. She was like, I never had any wrestling training and I was scared of public speaking as well.
Yeah.
And then she was stood there with the microphone doing a very comfortable little interview in front of everyone. So fair play. I think she's a clever one for them to bring over for the press conference because she is probably one of, if not the biggest success story purely out of the Performance Center, just homegrown. But I mean, it won't be like that for everyone.
No.
But you can see, you can see it working for some UK lad or lass who hasn't got an actual way into the wrestling world.
Charlotte followed by saying, embrace everything, have questions for the trainers. WWE sets the global standard for talent and training development, and now that world-class standard is right here in the UK. Only time will tell, I guess.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say about that.
I don't know, yeah, it's fair enough.
I mean, they did have these people come on, which was nice to see, but they didn't really say anything.
Charlotte said the most, yeah.
Charlotte did say the most, and she ended her speech by saying she's looking over the shoulder at the likes of Isla Dawn, Toni Storm, and champion Rhea Ripley.
Whoa,
watch out, bitches. And I noticed Gia Brookside was standing there. Didn't mention her.
She's not mentioned it.
Oh, which is a bit awkward when you stand there with blue hair and sticking out like a sore thumb.
And her dad's there as well,
Yeah.
in front of her dad.
I guess you miss her nepotism, I guess. Maybe, I don't know.
Finn Balor was next.
Finn Balor appeared. I have not made any notes to what he said because he didn't actually say much.
He kind of reiterated Charlotte's point in a slightly different way. So Balor said, unlike Charlotte, he had loads of experience wrestling before he went over to the Performance Center, but he wasn't very good on the mic like Charlotte, and that's helped transform him and make him a more well-rounded performer.
And he hopes to see someone from that UK Performance Center in a ring soon. Ooh. I doubt that. Maybe.
Did he mean Jordan Depp? Did he just not mean anyone in particular? Just anyone?
Anybody, I guess.
Oh, right.
He'll take on all comers. And then Pete Dunne appeared to say 3 sentences.
Ah, he did all right.
I guess he was up early in the morning to be on Good Morning
cue
Britain.
cards.
Did he?
He had cue
I wasn't
cards.
down to my keyboard when he was on.
I thought that Joe Coffey was going to run in and beat him up.
I was surprised he didn't do an angle just to hype up Takeover Blackpool because being over here, the hype is pretty low. I'm not going to lie.
I forgot that it was this weekend, yeah.
Well, there you go. Exactly.
I mean, it should be a good show in ring.
Oh, yeah. No, that'll be great. But just the hype, there's no real buzz.
No.
I mean, it's picked up today because of the Performance Center being launched and it's showing that WWE are taking this seriously. There was the announcement yesterday at Royal Rumble Access. There'll be more NXT UK TV tapings. So it's sticking around for another season at least.
Yeah.
So just hopefully things get better. Because I've not been captivated by it. I'm not going to lie.
I know, and I don't know how much of that's the show itself or the presentation. Because when they started putting out 2 episodes a week, I was like, oh, they're just trying to get this all out of the way before Takeover, and it's a bit like...
Or the fact there's just too much bloody wrestling.
Maybe there's just too much in the world, yeah.
And that was it. The man from Blue Peter came back on and wrapped things up. Paul Triple H Levesque. Yeah, we learned some things, but not too much. Pacitti will no doubt learn a hell of a lot more by getting his interviews with people. We don't know which people yet, but he was saying there's about 60 news outlets there today. So he's going to have to fight people to get access to these people.
He just needs to give them the big I am. I'm Adam Pacitti.
Well, he's took his trunks down, so AJ Hazard might get left, right, good night. So no doubt we'll learn more throughout the day here on Cultaholic.com. Once again, WWE, thank you for the invite.
Cheers.
Very much appreciated. That is everything we know about the UK Performance Center so far. Not much, granted, but we'll learn more in the future. Any closing thoughts?
Not yet. Yeah, just wait and see what happens. Yeah, because there's not that much to go on, but it seems a positive step, I think, for NXT UK.
Yeah. We'll have to see how things develop. So as I say, stick around to the channel later today, tomorrow, a few days' time to see more interviews, and I think Pacitti's going to do a tour guide thing like he did in the US Performance Center, just to show us around this lovely building in North London.
Lovely.
That's it. Join us, etc. Subscribe, patreon.com/Cultaholic. You know all that spiel by now. Goodbye.